You know, we ask our computers to do some absolutely incredible things. But have you ever stopped to think about something that seems, well, really simple? How do you teach a machine to look at a picture and just know that it's looking at a cat? I mean, for us, it's instant. But for a computer, that's actually a huge, monumental challenge. So let's just put the question right out there. How does a machine go from a bunch of ones and zeros to the actual concept of a cat? The answer isn't what you might think. It's not about programming rules for whiskers and pointy ears. It's about a total shift in how we teach machines to learn anything at all. Okay, so the very first thing we have to get our heads around is this core problem in computer vision. It's called the semantic gap. And really, it all comes down to the massive difference in how you and your laptop see the world. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. When we look at the image on the left, we see a cat. We see fur, eyes, a whole animal. But the computer, it sees what's on the right, a giant grid of numbers. Each number just represents the color and brightness of one tiny dot, one pixel. To the machine, there's no cat in there, it's just raw data. And that chasm, that massive difference between our rich, meaningful understanding and the computer's raw, boring numbers, that is the semantic gap. The entire goal of computer vision, really, is to find a way to bridge that gap. So, how do we even start?
Well, the first thing you'd probably try is to just write a program with a bunch of rules. You could tell it if it has pointy ears, and it has whiskers, and it's furry, then hey, it's a cat. But that approach is just incredibly fragile. I mean, what if the cat's ears are folded back, or the picture is taken from a weird angle? The whole system of rules just falls apart almost immediately.
So, since trying to define catness ourselves was a dead end, computer scientists tried something new. Instead of telling the computer what a cat is, we decided to let it figure it out for itself. This is the data-driven approach, and it completely changed the game. This whole data-driven thing follows a pretty simple three-step recipe. First, you collect a ton of data, thousands and thousands of pictures that are already labeled cat, dog, car, whatever. Second, you use a machine learning algorithm, a classifier, to just sift through all that data and find patterns. And third, you evaluate it. You test the classifier on brand new images it's never seen before to see how well it actually learned. And here is what that first step actually looks like in practice. This is a little sample from a famous dataset called CFAR10. You can see all the little images of airplanes, cars, birds, and yep, cats. We're basically handing the machine this huge visual encyclopedia and telling it, go study. Find the patterns that make a cat and a truck. And when I say a huge encyclopedia, I mean it. To get a machine to even begin recognizing these patterns, the CFAR10 dataset uses 50,000 training images. That's a lot of homework for the AI. So how does the machine actually learn from all of this data? Well, let's start with one of the simplest but most important types of classifiers out there, the linear classifier. Think of it as the very first step an AI takes towards being able to see. At its core, a linear classifier is pretty simple. It learns to make a decision by basically treating an image like an election. Every single pixel gets a vote. But, and this is the key, some votes count more than others. The classifier's only job is to learn the weights, or you could say the importance, of each and every pixel for deciding if an image is a cat or a car. Now, the math behind this can look kind of scary, but the idea is just beautiful and simple. The classifier takes all the pixel values from an image, multiplies them by the weights it's learned during training, and then adds it all up to get a final score for each category. Whichever category gets the highest score, bam, that's the prediction. Okay, this is all great in theory, but it leads to this really fascinating question. After all of that training, what do those learned weights even look like? What has the machine actually learned to look for? This is where it gets really cool. So what does a machine really see? Can we, peel back the cover and peek inside its digital mind to visualize its idea of a cat? It turns out, yeah, we totally can. And here they are. These ghostly, colorful, blurry images are what the learned weights actually look like for each category. You can think of each one as a kind of abstract template. That's not a picture of a car. It's the pattern of pixels the AI has learned is the most car-like. You can almost make out a generic reddish blob where a car would be, or a greenish-blue shape that looks kind of like a horse. And these templates get better the more the AI trains. Early on, they just look like random staticky noise. But after looking at thousands of examples, they start to refine themselves into something that actually captures the essence of an object, sort of like its average color and shape. The template for car starts to look vaguely car-shaped and reddish, while the one for ship gets blue on the bottom for water and white on top. Now, it's really important to remember that this simple template matching thing is just the very first step. It's not perfect, but it is the fundamental building block for pretty much everything else in the world of computer vision.
So why does all this matter? Because this one basic idea, learning patterns from data, is the foundation for the incredible AI we see all around us today. From the systems that let self-driving cars spot pedestrians, to algorithms that help doctors find diseases in medical scans, to facial recognition, it all starts right here.
As the source material puts it so perfectly, image classification is the building block for other tasks. You have to learn this alphabet before you can even think about writing a novel. So, we've seen how a computer takes its very first baby step, from a meaningless grid of numbers to a ghostly, abstract template of a cat. And it just leaves you with this one last thought. If this is what a simple AI learns to see, what in the world might a complex one dream of?